Welcome everyone in this new live development video about building an auto chess game. In this video we're going to set up our game menu, so Outgame menu and widgets. So we're going to need another map, which is going to be our menu map, so we're going to go ahead and create that. I think we already created that in the setup video. So we have a level Outgame menu. In there we have nothing, so if we hit play, nothing happens. Actually something happens. We have our in-game logic spawning, and we don't want that. So on that map we're going to override the game mode in our world settings. We're going to say that we are in our outgame mode. We're going to go there, open this up, and see what we have there. So what's default pawn class we're going to use? We're going to actually use none. We're not going to have a player character in there. So if we go back here and hit play, we're not going to have anything there spawning. And if we check out our world outliner, we have a game states, an outgame mode, and we have a player controller, and we actually want an outgame player controller. So we're going to exit that and tell our game mode that we want that player controller, we want the outgame controller. Let's open that up, and for now we have no code in there, so it's in pack mode. We're going to open full blueprint editor, add like a branch, just so b-click, just so it doesn't return back to packed mode. And we're going to check out the class defaults. Actually we're going to open up the parent class. So this is something we built for in-game, but it's actually the parent class of all our controller. So all of our controller do have this code. So we're going to be able to hit P to widen our window. We're actually going to have access to all the logic we built there. So that's what we actually wanted. And there is something not working right off the bat, something we fixed in game when we hit play. If we don't take the focus on the window with a click, we cannot hit the P key, and it's really it's something that's bothering me, so I want to fix it right away. So if we open up our player in-game, I think at some point we are creating the in-game HUD in there. So if we are a local player, a local controller, we are creating the in-game HUD. And I think we are actually going to do that another way. We're going to promote that to a variable, which is going to be main HUD, and it's going to be a user widget class. Like this is going to return a value, which is the return value there. We're going to drag and drop that node here, return that, call that created widget, hit compile, hit save, and then branch that up. And actually we're going to cut that, delete that main HUD, because we want to build that logic in our our parent class. So we're even going to remove that function called create in-game HUD. Like this, delete that, hit compile, go back to our player controller main class, and create a new function called create main HUD, and paste that here. We want to plug that here, create the main HUD variable, hit compile. By default it's going to create the in-game HUD, for instance. Not for instance, it's going to create the in-game HUD. We're going to add a new parameter there, and actually that's what we're going to do. Like that, we're going to redo our drag pin and recall that created widget like this. And then we're going to have another function called initialize main HUD, which we're going to call in our p-click to bring the begin play, initialize main HUD. In that function, by default, we're going to create the main HUD like this. So it might sound strange, but we're actually going to override that function there, initialize main HUD. we're going to call no, we don't want to override this. Well, actually that's what we want to override. We want to grab that and cast it and store it into a variable. So we are actually just going to remove this. It compile. Yeah, we're not going to call that. We're just going to call that here. Create main add, and we're going to cast this into our. We didn't create it, so we're going to create our widget. In-game add. We don't have an outgame. Oh, hey, we have an outgame menu. That's what we want to create. So in our outgame controller, we want to create our outgame menu, such as this, and we want to cast that into our outgame menu and promote that into a variable and call that outgame menu ref. So the reasons it didn't appear before here when dragging the wire out of there and casting, we didn't have the outgame menu because the class wasn't loaded in the memory before we select it in there. So, and we want to do basically the same thing in our in-game controller. We want to create main add, and we want to store that as well, cast into our in-game add and store that into a variable like this, in-game add ref, and hit compile. So we have some kind of menu logic going on there, because I think we already have our main add being spawned in our outgame controller because we specified that. So if we hit play, we can hit P right away. It's working. So we are just going to open up our outgame menu now and add a bunch of buttons. So we're going to put them in like a vertical box. And what buttons we want? We want like create lobby, search lobby, quit game, and maybe options. So we're going to rename these buttons: button options, button find game, we're going to call that, button create game, and we're going to put create game before find game like this. And we're going to have the button quits. Even if games nowadays don't have these quit buttons, we're going to drag and drop text in there like this. And the vertical box is like going to be big like this. Buttons are going to fill the size of the vertical box, and we're going to put that on the left of the screen. Yeah, we want that to be like that big, and we want that not that alignment I'm not sure, alignment I think it says. So we have some kind of menu there. If we hit play, we're going to have that menu. We can press the buttons. Okay, very well. This is going to read create game, find game. I'm going to show text, find game, options, and quit game like this. So we're going to see how it behaves after that. What else do we want to do here when we hit play? Okay, we're just going to plug the logic, some kind of logic real quick. When we click quit game, we're just going to create game like this. So if we hit play, hit quit game, yeah, it works usually. We're going to build some kind of option widget. So user interface widget WGT option menu, and we're going to build it that way because we want to be able to open that menu in both in-game and out-game. So I deleted the canvas panel and hit Control W, and it's actually Control Z, I mean, and it actually lagged, but it doesn't matter. So we want to remove that canvas panel. We want to make that that menu of our desired size. We want to add some kind of vertical box with buttons in there. We're just going to copy and paste one of these buttons like this, and it doesn't, it's already bothering me, so we're not going to do it that Where are we? Now I think we're going to build some kind of buttons by end. So we're going to create a new user interface, WGT button. We're going to open that up, delete the canvas panel, make that of the desired size, add a size box, add a button there, and add a text in there. And the size box, our button is going to be like 100 or maybe 350 wide, 100 wide, like this, like 50 wide, okay, 60. So this is going to be our button, and it's going to be a variable, button main. Let's say our text is going to be button title, and the size box is going to be called sbox button size. Like this, hit compile, hit save. We want to bind to create a new events binding regarding when the button is being pressed, and I'm not sure why we can't from that place. We should be able to. Maybe that's because it's not a variable. Yeah, that was because it wasn't a variable. So when that button is clicked, we want to call a dispatcher, dispatch on clicked, like this, and call that event, and it's going to return the button being clicked. Button. Actually, it's going to return the WGT button, clicked button, like this. We're going to refresh that node and ping this because we are clicking that button. And in the pre-construct events, we're going to set up our button name. So this is going to be a variable, and we're going to set the text of that text. We're going to format that to a variable, button name, make that public, and we're going to use these buttons wherever we need them. So we're going to remove that button, and we're going to close the other stuff. We're going to remove these buttons as well. Delete, it's going to return an error there, which we're going to remove. Sorry, I just snoozed. So like this, we want to add a button to our vertical box, and we want to see how it behaves. Yeah, we're going to enter a default name in our button name, just so we see it works. We're going to call that new button, for instance. Hit compile, hit save, and it appeared. So if we go back there, we're going to have a new button, which we can rename, create game, like this. And we're going to be able to bind when that button is clicked. So we're going to see what we do with that afterwards. Button create game, like this, and we're going to have like 3 of them, like we had previously. Find game, button options, and button quit game, like this. We're going to rename that button, these buttons actually. Find game, like this. We're going to tell the vertical box to be sized to its contents, and if we hit play, we have that. And the buttons do not suit me, so we're going to make them like bigger and wider. If we hit play, okay, I don't like them, like this. Okay, I want them to have their text on the left with a padding like 20, like this. Okay, that's better. And I don't want that tint because because I can't change it, so I'm going to change that to like red. When we over that, it's going to be like yellow, or some kind of neat orange. Yeah, my orange is not so neat, but doesn't matter. Yeah, so that's kind of better. And when we click them, it's going to be like way darker. I think we should not be using full dark, but but it gives some kind. No, maybe we're going to try yellow. Yeah, okay, I understand it. Maybe it's boring to see me doing this. Maybe we don't care. I just like tweaking stuff all the time. Okay, I'm not going to care about that. I'm just going to put it back black and call it done. So we have some kind of button logic. So when we are in our in-game mode, in our outgame menu, we're going to dispatch and click, and we're going to quit the game like this. So does it work? Yeah, it does work. And then when we press option, we want to show the option menu. So we're just going to add it there, and we're going to add some kind of options in there. So in our option menu, we're going to add some kind of buttons as well. For now, we're just going to add a bunch of buttons and a return button like this. And when we press that, when we press the return button, it's going to set the visibility of that widget to like hidden. And when we press quit game, so we have our options menu appearing now. It's going to be located like on the middle, like 0.5, something like this, and we're going to put back our vertical box a little bit closer from the left edge of the screen, like this. So if we hit play, we have these two, and we can hide one of them, but we can't bring it back. And that's what we want to do here. We want to tell the option menu that it's now test invisible, self test invisible, like this, and we want to make it hidden by default. And we have some kind of menu logic going on, even if it's really scripted and really not modular. It's the base logic we want to be implementing there. So we are fine with this. And when we press find game and create game, we are going to need to bring up other menus. So that's what we're going to do now. So we're going to have maybe we already created it. We have a multiplayer lobby, and we don't have a lobby browser, so we're going to create that, a lobby browser, and we're going to create some new folders. One is going to be called base, in which we're going to drop our button there, move here. Another one is going to be called outgame, another one in-game. Mouse cursor is going to be located in base. Multiplayer lobby is going to be outgame, or maybe outgame multiplayer lobby browser, as we didn't want to. We can delete that because we're not using it and we copied it. And we want to bring our in-game add in-game. Our option menu is going to be located in a new folder called options, like this, because it's both in-game and out-game. Outgame menu, obviously, score panel in-game, shop in-game, and that's pretty much it for that little bit of cleaning. So we're going to have some kind of multiplayer lobby, which we're once again going to remove the canvas panel, make that of the desired size. In our multiplayer lobby, we're going to have some kind of vertical box with a series of server to click on to connect to them. So we're going to create a new folder called lobby, in which we're going to create a new blueprint, widget blueprint, which is going to be server entry. Well, actually, server entry is going to be a child of our button class. So we're going to create a new button class out of our button, like this, wg server entry. And I think we need to, it doesn't have any hierarchy, and we can't add one, and that's what we wanted. Oh well, maybe that's not what we wanted. Maybe we added to. Okay, for now we're not going to take care of this. So our multiplayer lobby is going to have server entries on which we're going to be able to click, and server entry by default is going to read new server like this, and then so this is the server, no, so this is the server browser, actually browser, not the multiplayer lobby. So we're going to remove this, open up our lobby browser, delete the canvas panel, paste our vertical box, put that in the desired size. And on the contrary, on the multiplayer lobby, we're going to have some kind of overlay with two vertical boxes, one for each team, I assume, contained within an horizontal box. So two vertical boxes within one horizontal box. Maybe we want some kind of size box actually. So like it's going to be that big and that wide. Well, that wide and that high. In there our overlay is going to occupy all of the space, our horizontal box as well, and our vertical box is going to be of the proper size. So we're going to need some kind of player entry. So this time is just going, so we don't want server entry to be there. We want to create a new folder called browser in which we want to drop our server entry. And in lobby we're going to have a new widget blueprint which is going to be a player entry. Or maybe we can click. Yeah, I think we can click our player entries. So I think our player entries are also going to be buttons. So we're going to copy our server entry and we're going to make that a player entry like this. And this is going to be called player, new player for instance. Hit compile, hit save, and we're going to after that we're going to build some kind of little logic to add stuff in our player, add stuff in the hierarchy. We'll see how it behaves. So we have a multiplayer lobby in which we have a VBox which is containing, oh, that's an error. We don't have two teams, we have a bunch of teams and we don't know how many. So we are going to have one vertical box like in the middle of the stuff with all the player entries it needs. So for now we're going to add like 8 player. So we already see it's too big for its current purpose, so we're going to open up our button and we're going to promote our size box to a variable and change its size dynamically. So override set width and height override. That's exactly what we want. And we're going to promote that into a variable. Height and width, not widget, width. And by default, so they're going to be public. By default, when we hit compile, it's going to remove the size of the button because these variables don't have a value there. So I don't quite remember what were the values, but I think it's something like 450 and 70, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, the other way around. So we're going to put the width up because usually that's how it's set up in the widget and we don't want our brain to get confused. Not set 70, 60, we want that, yeah. I think that was the size. And I think the player entry, and now we can customize the size of the player entry. So it's going to be far smaller, yeah, like this. So maybe not, maybe rather like that. Yeah. So we're going to have we're going to have a bunch of players there. We have 7, we want 8 for instance. So these are going to be all of our players. So if we close that, go back to our Outgame menu. So in there we're going to have a lobby, browser and a multiplayer lobby. and they're going to be located like in the middle and beside it to their contents, like this. The multiplayer lobby as well, size it to its content. So like this, they are going to be hidden by default. Hidden. And we're going to add some kind of logic to go back to, no, that's not what I want to open. Some kind of logic to go back to our main menu, because it's important that we do so. So we're going to add some kind of button in the middle of nowhere, I'm sorry. And we want that at the bottom. It's going to have some kind of padding there, yep, like this. So we don't want a player entry, we actually want button in there, in the bottom, with some kind of padding like I was saying, and it's going to be a return button like that, and we're going to call that button return, and we're going to copy this and paste this in here. So it's not, I wonder what, oh yeah, so the server entry are as big as our button, regular button. So we have a return button here. When we click it, we're going to set the visibility of that widget to hidden. We're going to copy and paste that here. When we click that button, it's going to hide this. So if we hit play, we don't have them, and I wonder why we don't have them by default in our Outgame menu. Maybe because we already made them hidden. Okay, because we did. So we just have to bring them when we click on create game and on find game. So we're going to have a lobby browser visible when we're looking for a game. Not hidden, sorry, it is invisible, and when we press create game, we're going to go right on our multiplayer lobby. So if we hit play, create game, return, find game, return, option, return, quit game. Okay, I think we can have some kind of troubles if we press everything, but I think there is a simple way. There is no really simple way to fix this, and I think it's outside of the scope of the live development tutorial. I think we're not going to fix the fact that we can bring all of the menu at the same time in front of us. I don't really care about that. It's supposed to be some kind of logic handling this. For instance, if I click on create game and then find game, it's supposed to close create game, I assume, but it has to leave the lobby and so to handle. Maybe you are already, maybe you are already in the lobby, and if you do quit game, we have to handle that. And if you are in the lobby and you press return, you will have to handle the fact that you leave the lobby as well. But I'm not going to handle the only widget related issues, if you don't mind. So we have some kind of base to start here, to start scaling the game in multiplayer. So I think it's going to wrap up that video. Hope you guys enjoyed it, and hope to see you in the next one. Bye bye.